I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors of the K-Bar Range Community Development District. Today is Wednesday, September 1st, 2016, time is 6 p.m. Present and constituting a quorum, we have Betty Valenzi, Corey Firebaugh, and John Bowersox. Representing District Council is Tracy Robin. We also have Tyree Brown, Field Services Manager with Rosetta, and Shannon Seikos, District Coordinator with Rosetta, and myself, Joe Rocky, District Manager with Rosetta. And we do have members of the audience. First item on the agenda is always audience comments. Any comments? Yeah.
I have a question about there's a pond across the street from my house, 19354 Paddock View Drive. It needs attention. It looks like a mosquito haven.
Okay.
It is disgusting.
Algae?
Algae.
There's a red algae bloom in it. There's also festering mosquito nests. There's
Mosquito nest and retention ponds?
and it's also a still water pond, so it's not getting any influx at all for anything.
19354 Paddock View Drive.
It's across the street.
That's in Aaron?
Terrence,
I will talk to the contractor person tomorrow.
Worry about it, it's it.
There is an area, just because it's not an actual pond.
Okay.
It's sort of like the one on.
Like the open air wetland area?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that might be the area.
Okay. I'll take a look at the map.
It was defined on the plot map that I signed over to you 3 months ago that it was a pond. I checked that as well. It is only about 20 feet in diameter, but it is a pond. It is a pond. It is a problem. And really, it should have been connected to the big pond, then it would have inflow that would keep all the shit forming, but it didn't.
Okay. Any other audience comments, questions? Yeah.
Are we doing anything about the 13 lights that are out on K-Bar Parkway and the other 4 that are down Bassett Creek, or Wild Tamarin, sorry?
I reported some on Bassett Creek today.
Yeah, I've reported all of them to TICO,
Yeah.
Tico needs
but
to
it's
take
been
care of.
nothing for 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I
I reported
reported.
most about 30 days ago.
Yeah.
All we
And
can do
you
is
are the lighting
report to
district.
Tico.
So there should be some more emphasis that you guys can do as a lighting district that we can't do as
We're not a lighting district,
CDD was merged with the lighting districts.
but the CDD has a contract with Tico. It's not a lighting district. It's a contract. It's a lease agreement. So I can only do the same thing that you guys can do. I can report it.
Daylight savings time is coming very shortly. And we also have one that is slightly askew, we'll call it, the front entrance of Carrick Reserve. The footing has eroded out and is falling.
Okay. Do you know you can email me the streetlight number?
Yeah.
And I can report it.
The one I reported today was broken. It has a piece dangling, sounds like a cowbell. The wind blows. All right, it's up to me. I have pictures here of the kids trampling the exit from Pride. They're walking up to Bassett Creek, and it's not just K-Bar kids, it's anybody's kids that go to Pride that are parking at Stone Creek to pick them up, which is also a traffic nightmare, but they were exposing the irrigation lines and the tree roots. I'll pass these around, you guys can see them. They're exposing the irrigation, which if the irrigation gets broken, the CDD fixes it, we're gonna end up paying for it. And if a kid breaks an ankle tripping over these tree roots or this irrigation line, somebody's gonna get sued because they're gonna get hurt. So we need to figure something out on how to fix this, but I don't know if it's county, city, or us for which portion it is. So who takes care of it and who can fix it, and if we need to block it off, or if we need an extra sidewalk somewhere for Pride kids to go back there where the parents are picking them up.
I'm sorry, Abe.
He looks confused.
He's checked a couple of times.
Yeah. So, but these are, there you go. You guys can look, they've seen them, but
Well, it's the landscape is CDD maintained. The
Yes.
right of way is the city, and then behind that is the school property.
Right,
So
so-
I don't know if we can look at Canal and put more shrubs in or something to block access.
the kids are still
They'll
gonna
go
travel
around.
over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somebody's gotta fix it. I mean, if they're allowing priority choice, and it all goes back to the zoning, but if they're gonna allow priority choice, or they're gonna allow other neighborhoods to come and pick their kids up, and they're gonna park down there at the townhouses and block traffic and stop in the middle of the road and pick their kids up, they're gonna have to pave an exit for them, so they're not gonna get hurt doing it.
Is there a police officer that directs
No.
traffic?
No, and I have video from today of kids crossing the street, running in front of cars stopping in the middle, doors flying open, and other cars trying to come around them.
So probably the very first thing, I mean, we definitely need to figure out ownership, and I'd like to see the pictures because I haven't seen them yet, but number one would be to call the non-emergency number of the police, notify them so that they can send someone over, because it obviously needs to be monitored.
Yeah, but we've called so many times on different things, and they just don't come.
Gotta keep calling. I mean, the CDD can't do any more than you guys can when it comes to that. But then we also need to look and see who owns it, what we can do on our property. Obviously, we can't just do something on city property without their permission. But, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. So this is the boulevard, right? So as you're going
That's
down, that's the
Bassett Creek.
boulevard? Oh, okay.
That's Bassett Creek.
Okay, yeah, I see the flag, so now I know where it is.
It's right at, right.
Well, that's our plant bed,
Yeah.
right,
Yes.
Tyree? So, I mean,
And it's
it
our
would be,
irrigation
it would be
lines.
expensive, but we could put a fence up. Even if it was, you know, black chain link, so maybe it blends, or the green chain link or something.
Well, something's gotta be done, because somebody's gonna get hurt, or somebody's gonna get sued somewhere.
Yeah,
But I'd rather not see any kids get hurt.
well, yeah, that's the main thing. I mean, the irrigation's important too.
And I
but
get
make
it
sure
that
the
people
kids
wanna
don't get
park at the townhouses and walk up into their kids, because nobody wants to wait in that stupid carpool line. But it's so dangerous because they're
Yeah.
stopping in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
These people are ignorant, they're gonna get their kids killed.
Yeah.
So I don't know what else to do, but I had a grandma email me, and she was really upset about this, and I didn't know how to handle it, so I'm bringing it to you for help.
I think, number one, I'd ask the residents to multiple people, not just you or just the woman who brought it to your attention, to contact the non-emergency line of police, because the more people that call, the more they realize it. But then, I would say we probably need to have Joe and Tyree get us some pricing.
For a fence.
Yeah, as I mean, I don't know what else you can do except a fence. I mean, more shrubs, it's just gonna get trampled. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're also gonna be 3 gallons that go in, the kids can just walk through. So, and is it, I drove past it today, but I wasn't really paying attention to that part. Is there just a couple places that there's breaks, or are
There's
there
2
lots?
spots.
I mean, I wonder, do you just do it there as opposed to the whole run and see how it goes, or do you
If you
just
do it,
fence
if
the
you only
whole-
do it there, they're just
They're
gonna
just gonna
cut
build
through.
it.
Yeah, they'll make a new one.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to make it difficult for parents, but I wanna make it
But then
safer
you
for
stay on the
kids.
sidewalk. That's what the
And there's not a
sidewalk's for.
sidewalk there. There is no
Is
sidewalk.
that- Oh, is that the road I see?
That's the
It's not.
sidewalk going down the road, but there is no sidewalk connecting the school
To
to
the
that
road.
sidewalk.
Really?
Because K-Bar was never zoned for Pride, so there's no exit from K-Bar to Pride.
I wonder if we could put a fence on our, like, the outside of the plant bed, closer to the sidewalk. That way it's, all right, we'll look into that.
So here's my next question then. Our next meeting's not until November.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of days for kids to be walking. Is it something that is within you and the chairs?
See, there's no sidewalk. That's the road right there at the turnaround.
But no sidewalk.
No sidewalk
So they're just
connects
cutting
our
through here.
sidewalk.
Um,
I mean, it depends on which fence we put up.
well, that's the
Put
thing.
up
What's
a piece,
between you and Mike? It's 5,000?
5,000 each.
That's still a lot of money, but
Yeah, I don't think we'll spend $10,000 on fencing.
no, probably not.
I mean, we could start with fences in the areas where it's happening, and then if it, just add as we go, I guess. See if it helps at all.
Do you want these for Exhibit A? It was $7. I'm willing to give it away.
It's that expensive for pictures?
Yeah.
Wow.
Are these all of the?
Yeah, that's all that I took.
I mean, can we do a
Well,
motion
I
that
need
you
to
and Mike
bring
work
it.
together with Tyree and outside of the meeting?
You need a motion for it.
Okay.
It's already in the resolution.
Okay.
Question though, would it be a smart thing to have the police department come out for a few days?
I think yes, because the parents that just stop in the middle of the road and open their
Yeah.
doors and their kids are
They do
jumping
it
in
for
and
4
running around
hours.
cars.
We have to do a 4-hour window, and it's an hour?
No, it's $36 an hour for HCSO up to,
For Tampa?
for Tampa it's
That's-
41.
Yeah, it'd be city.
It's
of
city of
Tampa.
Tampa.
Okay, so it's 41, including their administrative fee.
No, they could get out there with a radar and they can catch all the speeders.
It might,
On the way out,
it might
turn
be
down.
more productive to go the route of a police officer.
$200, that's not bad, less than $200.
Yeah, and do it once or twice a week for a month or so.
Yeah.
Stuff that they're trying to do, CDD property. And
Do you want me to contact them and have that, like, that's Mark, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a valid concern to have the police come out.
Because a lot of this is a traffic issue, not just
Trespassing issue.
right.
It's a trespassing issue because of a traffic issue.
This is cardboard wide open, picking up kids right there at the townhouses, which is not a valid stop sign.
And they're public roads, we can't
Yeah.
continue parking on them, but
They
they
have no
need to
parking
be.
signs, but they're turning right there onto Wild Tamarin and they're stopping.
Yeah,
They're just
Oh.
stopping and picking up their kids and then they keep going.
well, I've had people stop right on Bassett Creek right there.
Yeah, they do.
And right where they're crossing in there, they open their door and get people in. Yeah, right,
Right
exactly.
there.
It's just, there's no stop sign
Well, no,
right
that's on Wild Tamarin.
This is Wild
Yeah,
Tamarin.
I'm taking, on Bassett
Right
Creek.
as they turn on the Wild Tamarin, they're stopping
So
their
can you call
cars
the
and they're,
non-emergency tomorrow and talk to maybe the community officer for the area and see what he can do as well?
Okay.
I
I mean, maybe just-
Potentially if
I
somebody
can
else
call
tomorrow.
and see if I can get someone out there without having to hire an off-duty deputy to go through that whole process. Okay, any other audience comments, questions?
About the one question I have, not for immediate but for long term, we have heard that there will be a new amenity center, which is obviously not here, but there will be a second amenity center, and we are wondering if the existing K-Bar resident will have some kind of access to it, or it's off for the current K-Bar residents.
As of right now, any new amenity would be part of a separate district.
So it will not be K-Bar?
It will not be within the boundaries of K-Bar HCD, no. Yep.
The street lighting in the various communities, how is that managed and maintained, and I'm sorry, I came in late.
Yeah, so the CDD pays a lease agreement with TICO, but TICO are the ones who, the request needs to go to TICO to get something fixed. They have a program on their website, you just Google like TICO.
So we rely solely on a resident or residents calling in and initiating the service?
I mean, I can help out if there's something not being done, but, you know, you guys are gonna see the streetlights out, not me, because I'm not driving through at 10 o'clock at night when it's dark. So, you know, you'll be the first to know when a streetlight goes out. So when a light goes out, you can let me know, and you can also submit the request to TICO.
Well, it's not just Heron Reserve. I mean, if there's a light out on the parkway, you know, in a
Same
area that's
thing,
used.
it's still all
Same
all
thing.
through TICO, yep.
Thank you.
And I did talk to TICO representatives, and they said they've got a limited number of crews that are doing those, and that's all they do. They keep busy doing the street lights, and there's a considerable delay in doing that, because I reported the ones on Bassett Creek. A lot of those were going on and off. It was just the entirety of Bassett Creek from Pride all the way down to Wild Tamarin was dark. And I reported that about 30, 40 days ago. So I don't know how soon they'll be out there, but it's not like a matter of 2 or 3 weeks typically, according to what they
They'll
told me.
tell you 45 days, but I've seen it take 6 months to, I mean, there was a district.
Well, when daylight savings comes, that's gonna, be a little bit more of a safety concern with kids going to the bus stop.
Yep.
So, I don't know how long. I mean, the ones on K-Bar Ranch Parkway have been out for as long as I can remember. It's dark on that road, so.
Kind of like with the school thing, the more people that call.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Maybe
I feel
faster
like
they
we
would
need
address
like a
it.
little bit of a system for that, because how do I know if someone else is called? I just think these streetlights have been out. I mean, if someone is reporting them, could they post at least like somewhere, I've reported these? No one even knows if they've been reported,
I mean, if
It's
you
not
see
much
it
of a
out,
system.
just report it. I mean, if they get 10 requests to fix the same streetlight, they'll probably,
Okay.
the more reports, the better. If you don't report it, it didn't happen, you have to keep reporting it. It doesn't matter if 10 of your neighbors did, if you do it again, the more
Yeah.
reports, the better.
And you can do it electronically, they have a little form, or you can call, whichever's easier for you.
I've
And
messaged
so
them on
people are
Facebook.
reporting it, 'cause,
Okay,
I
I
mean,
reported them.
Mhm.
that's good.
Yeah.
I
I
just had
reported
time
some
to go get
today.
the numbers off all the streetlights and all that, so.
I reported some
When I see
today.
them, it's dark.
So basically when you report and we have strength in numbers, sometimes we are not, so if someone is reporting, if we all know, we all can collectively go to the common link site and fill this form. So it will
Yeah.
help
That's
it
just
rather than
ridiculous.
waiting for everyone.
Yeah.
That is what you
Is there
mean, right?
another company that we could look into in the future?
It's an electric company that has monopoly.
Yeah.
That's who your power is through.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, this
That would make all of our lives a lot
There
easier.
are other maintenance companies that you can use, because TICO has a option that you can opt out of the maintenance part of it.
You can, but we'd have to give them back all of their poles,
Right. And the
hire,
whole, I
buy
understand.
new
Okay.
poles. So for what we have, it's
Their poll.
Tico.
Yeah.
But yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So
Yeah.
I would recommend everybody go on and post.
Bombard them and they'll get the idea.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, one more item. I guess the grass immediately along the retention ponds, is that CDD
Yes.
maintenance? I see often that the crews that mow that grass closest to those ponds, they blow the grass into the pond. And after a while, they start to look pretty nasty. So I don't know if they can go the other direction to blow it the other way.
It should be.
But I know that can be a problem too, because then they can blow it onto people's lawns. So,
Tyree, can you address that with, is it Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah, they know they shouldn't do that.
Part of
so-
their contract
Yeah.
and the BMPs, but we can run that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk
Well,
to
then
you.
if they need examples, go behind Prairie Tree and Heron Preserve, because they've killed probably 200 fish that are all sitting on the bank right now. And they rot, and they stink.
Because the pond, right in front of our house, we had like a big layer.
And also recently we have noticed in front of next to those pond, there's total decoloration of the grass as if something happened and that area is no more green. There are patches of dry or brown patches have developed So what
Tyree
happened?
addressed that one.
Where is that located?
It's in the Huron Preserve. In the side you see all brown patches.
Close to
Is
the
there-
dog
Go
park.
behind the dog park.
Yeah, go behind
I
that.
can just listen to one person at a time, so I can concentrate. So in Heritage Preserve, is this on the pond bank? Okay. All right, so, and there's patches of brown grass.
Patches of brown, big patches, you can't.
Which,
design it.
can you tell me what more?
It's
specific-
behind the dog park. If you see that portion of the pond, you'll
Behind
see.
the dog park?
Just walk to that bank and see, it's all brown.
Okay.
In fact, it's I think in front of our house also I saw it's developing some brown patches and the grass is just not there.
It's actually around the entire pond.
Yeah, that's what I was,
At least 20 to 30 feet wide.
yeah, exactly.
Might be mowing too low.
Dark brown.
Okay, any other audience comments or questions, concerns? Okay. If not, board members, let's move on with the agenda. Behind tab 1, you'll see the minutes of the Board of Supervisors regular meeting held on August 17, 2016. I'll ask if there's any comments, questions, amendments on anything in here. And I wasn't at that meeting, but I went back and listened to the audio and tried to make sure we captured everything, so. if
I have a couple of questions, but I'll
Yeah.
wait. They're not
They're not.
in approving the minutes. I'll wait till supervisor requests.
Okay.
Motion. Sorry, go ahead.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Betty,
I'll second.
second by Chloe, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Next item behind tab 2. Operation and maintenance expenditures for August 2016. Expenditures for this period total $37,905.57. Any comments or questions on anything in here?
What was the bathroom repair? Do you know?
From which of it?
It's like the 6th one down, Donald Manning.
Oh, that was for the door in the men's bathroom that was broken.
Ah, gotcha.
You had to put a new frame in. and-
Okay, it just seemed expensive. I was wondering.
Yeah,
What
I
got broken?
couldn't find anyone else to do it
Okay.
for cheaper. He had to get a whole new
Well,
door
yeah,
and.
that actually sounds reasonable then
Yeah,
for
it was
that.
pretty cheap. Any other questions? Betty?
Second.
Second by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. And behind tab 3, operation, or not, sorry, not operation, amenity improvement expenditures for August 2016 for $540.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Betty,
Second.
second by Chloe, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Behind tab 4, you'll see your field inspection report. Everyone think Jason's showed up? Doesn't look like Jason's here, so Tyree, do you have anything specific to review with the board in the report? This is the one from,
The August report.
yeah, August 16th.
I can answer questions for you from the August report. I can also give you an update. I was on site yesterday, so I can give you more current.
I have a question. Number 2, fill dirt needed around the playground. Was that the new playground or the old playground? So wouldn't that be a develop out of the amenity account? A developer thing
It was
to do?
part of the sod install around the
And
the
tennis
structure.
courts and-
Exactly. So they included it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like something the CDD was gonna have to do.
No, there's
Okay,
no extra expense.
perfect,
And that
perfect.
was gonna be my next question was, has it been done?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just got the invoice list. So you'll see that in your amenity expenditure report that was made.
One thing I did want to bring to your attention is, yesterday we noted that there was a laurel oak in the conservation area off Wild Tamarin near Irving Violet that is dead. And from my observations, it looks like the change in hydrology from all the wet weather is causing some of these older trees to die, and they're dying quickly.
Well, laurels don't have as long a life as lives either, so.
It's
Yeah,
not the one
and
that got run over, is it?
No, this is in the conservation area. And this particular laurel is probably 40, 50 years old.
Yeah, so
it's-
that's its lifespan.
Yeah, it's a grand oak. So we contacted Swift Mud to get permission to remove it, and they gave it to us quickly,
Oh, good.
which was good. But I just want to bring to your attention, I'm seeing more and more of this as we go along, so we're assessing those trees to see how much of a risk they are to falling out and being, affecting traffic or property or any pedestrian traffic. So it is a concern as we go along. We did, last meeting, we talked about some proposals that had been approved and the work hadn't been done yet. The City of Tampa approved the pruning of the grand oak finally. That was done yesterday. So we'll be doing that work next week.
4 months for that. Probably longer. When was that proposal approved?
It was like 2 months.
I think it was even longer than that.
Might have been 2 months, yeah. But I'll be on site with Ellen Peace crew sometime next week. I'll supervise that to make sure that it goes right. And then we got approval on the oak tree removal in front of the community center and the maple tree install on this fall. So that should be done pretty soon.
For the laurels and other trees that are in decline, is it possible, and I know we've done this in other communities, that instead of going in with machinery and removing it, which is not good for the conservation, is there a way to push it back into the conservation area, or is it just not,
It depends.
doesn't really work that way?
Well, it depends on what Swift Mud tells you they want you to do.
Yeah,
Okay, so for me, it depends on who I deal with and what they want me to do with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go, hey, just top it at 8 feet and leave it.
yeah,
And sometimes they want it removed, so I
okay.
have to go on their directions.
So it's probably something we need to put in our
I would-
basket to look at over the next year or two, because there's gonna be a
Yes.
decent amount that are
Yes.
that age that are
And
gonna start
that's
feeling.
normal when you have new development and changes in hydrology
Yeah.
that occur in wetlands and conservation areas. I would prefer to just flush cut them and leave them in the conservation area.
Yeah.
That would be the preferred method.
No, less invasive to the conservation
Yeah,
area when you
it's
do that.
a natural habitat for animals.
Exactly.
Also, Barbara, if you look behind the blank tab after the report, we actually included the response. There was a response from LMP on this report. Although, looking at their response, there's a couple things they said that they submitted that I haven't seen. They said, you asked for a proposal for top choice, and it says submitted, but I don't think we've got a top choice yet.
No, because the top choice that's down is expired. It's been a year.
Yeah.
So we need to reapply that. There's more
Yeah.
firing issues.
They wrote in place and submitted, so
Yeah, they
we
need
have
to.
to follow up with them on
Yep.
some of those proposals that they haven't submitted yet. Another one, it says trees for active fire ant mounds on Rock Cameron. They said proposal submitted, but they can just treat those, they don't need to submit a proposal.
Same thing probably with 22, weeds in the right-of-way church, I mean, that's part of their contract, if they've got proposals submitted. Oh, and replace
That actually was,
fence.
yeah, that one,
Okay,
that
the
proposal's in
replace
here.
fan,
Yeah,
okay.
because of the hair replacement. That's
For Dan,
further back before you get to Cuba Parkway.
it's the last right.
The last right before
The
you get
last
to Cuba.
lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. Phase 2B.
Yeah. All right, other questions from the board regarding landscape items, issues? If not, let's look at tab 5. There's 2 proposals. The first one, I got Mike to sign off as board chair just to get it done because Tyree was working with LNP. This was a live oak replacement. Do you remember where this was? Was it on Wild Tamarind?
It's on Wild Tamarind,
Okay.
the one that got hit by the car.
And Tyree was working with LNP to do a bunch of other installs, and it made sense to do this one at the same time. So I reached out to Mike and had Mike sign off on it just so we could get it done with everything else. The second one in there is, Chloe, the one you just mentioned.
Gotcha.
The climbing aster for the killing the weeds and then replacing the hay, 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's that right-of-way area that's right there where the plastic house was finished. It's across the street, and all the construction traffic, and over time, it's just left nothing there but weeds.
And it's not irrigated, correct?
I believe it is.
It is irrigated. Okay, so we don't need to worry about, I mean, obviously it's raining right now, but in the next month or so, it won't be.
So that was a plan that we had talked about.
Yeah.
was replacing that photograph.
So then that's the only proposal still outstanding from the landscape. It's $660 for the 1,000 square feet of side. Okay, motion by Debbie.
Second?
Second by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Regarding the car damaged tree, were we able to get any contact information for the person that did it? I know there was talk about doing a police report or something, but.
I have not got anything.
Okay.
Were we gonna get his insurance to pay for it?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
We discussed
I'd
it
like to
last
at least
meeting.
submit the bill. I mean, they can tell us no, but.
What?
We know who did it?
We can find out?
Has it been 60 days?
No, I don't think so.
Then you can't find out. 60 days is how long it takes for Tampa police to release police reports.
I don't know.
They won't release them unless you're an insurance company or a person involved.
I don't remember the date, but
It's probably approaching 60 days. It was
Yeah, it's
right before
prob-
the last board meeting.
Yeah, I remember someone looked it up on Facebook, I might have been you at the last meeting, to see when it was posted, but yeah, I think that's something we need to more particular to at least try. I mean, they may say no, but it's worth the effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't have to pay for something we did.
Exactly. Just be glad it was $700 worth of damage.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's only a $200 tree.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll look, I'll check next month. That should be.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item behind tab 6, this is just an updated contract for your, basically for Tyree. We kind of just changed the name of it. I think it used to say Operations Service, and now we have the same, similar kind of service in a lot of different districts, so we're calling it Professional Field Services. And we're just sort of streamlining exactly what Tyree's contracted to do out there. So the 1 monthly inspection, the monthly inspection report, attending meetings as requested. Tyree's pretty much here every month, or every time we meet, basically. Providing input on budgeting for landscape items. Then the one big thing that is included in here at no additional cost is prepare and developing scope of services for, TAN landscape. Yeah, here we go. Upon request, prepare and develop a scope of services for landscape maintenance proposals and oversee bidding process, which if you just have field services and you had to pay for the service to run the whole RFP process by itself, is like a $2,000 to $3,000 cost, because there's so much work involved for Tyree to put that scope together, hold all the pre-bid meetings, organize all the results, put together the package for the board and everything like that. So that's one good thing that's included at no additional cost.
Fee still stays the same?
Fee's exactly the same, nothing's changing there. But also, one thing it includes is, after you see the fee, it's still $500 a month, no change there. But we also include the hourly rate just for every position in the company, just in case there's anything else that you want to get done that's not in the scope here. So for instance, Tyree's an arborist, so if you ever have a big scoped tree project that needs to get done, let's say we need to do structural pruning of all the oaks throughout the entire community, and Tyree needs to put together a proposal packet or something like that for vendors come in and bid on, something like that's an additional cost if that's outside of the scope of just the kind of monthly walkthrough and report. But that's something we could offer, and that's something that we'd never just do it and charge you. We'd bring a proposal forward and have the bill sent off. Everything else is staying the same.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I thought that we had added to the scope of services, that he would oversee janitorial services and pool maintenance services, and then I didn't see that
Right.
listed here.
Because he's not officially doing that. Tyree, as a courtesy, will kind of
Oh.
do some extra things.
So you tell me.
And the reason we don't put that in is because as a field services professional, he's not really certified to oversee those kind of things, but obviously if there's issues, he'll bring it to attention. This really just covers what, as a field service manager, is going to provide us for the contract. Okay.
Move to approve.
Motion by Betty,
Second?
second by Chloe, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Sorry, did you have anything else?
Hey, Joe.
Yeah,
It was July 30th.
July 30th. Okay. So, by the end of this month.
I say that's next week would be 60 days.
Okay, I will reach out, look for a police report after the 30th of September. Okay, thanks. Behind tab 7, proposals for the Bassett Creek monuments. I know this is like a 3-year project, it feels like. At the last meeting, even though I wasn't here, I put in the agenda to include the original proposal we received from Cornerstone, I think 2 years ago, to demolish the current Bassett Creek monument, since we can't get lighting in that area and all the permit issues, put a new one in a new location, and that location was at the intersection of Climbing Aster and Wild Tamarind. There's kind of like a little open area on the east side of that intersection. So that's the location we're looking at for the new monument. So this is Cornerstone, the first proposal you see is Cornerstone's updated proposal for everything, includes everything, the designing and permitting and installation and removal of the old one, electrical and lighting. Their total cost is $32,950, and I'll just, the board can, oh, you can.
I printed.
This didn't make it into them for whatever reason, but it's just a simple design for what the monument would look like. It would look pretty much the same as the one that's currently there.
Hey, Joe, I have a question about that. Bassett Creek in the HOA legal documents is only spelled with 1 T, and the monument has 2.
Oh, well then we'll fix that.
No, I'm curious, which is it supposed to be? Because Bassett Creek, the street, has 2 Ts.
Well, Bassett Creek,
What's the
Bassett
plat?
Creek itself has 2.
Yeah, it's what the plat in the HOA is.
well, you know, I mean, with the CDD, I have to check.
Just
Because the
curiosity.
CDD is called K-Bar Ranch, so the word Bassett Creek isn't even in the CDD documents.
I always give Dan a hard time because Bassett is with 1 T.
Yeah.
And I always think he's misspelling it.
Yeah, so we need to look at the plat in the HOA documents. Make sure it's
Curiosity.
correct.
Interesting.
Better safe than sorry.
I also got a question. If this is for Bassett Creek, which is an HOA, it is part of the CDD, but why is the CDD paying for a new monument for Bassett Creek, the HOA?
Well, the CDD owns the current monument that's out there.
Okay, but it's still for the HOA.
No, it's for the whole,
Then why doesn't it say K-Bar Ranch?
it's a good question.
Yeah.
Bassett Creek is an HOA, we live in K-Bar Ranch.
That's true.
Yeah.
HOA.
Oh,
Yeah,
come on,
you
pay
pay the
for my
CDD,
monument.
just like everybody else.
I think the monument is not there, that's fine, we don't have to build a new one.
No,
Yeah.
you guys need to pay for my monument.
This is being a long argument.
I mean, maybe K-Bar would be more
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there's
Okay.
the, well, that's up to you guys, what do you guys think? Do you want?
of an appropriate.
Well, you know what, here's what I was thinking,
I'm
as I was
fine either
coming
way.
today, I was thinking about this. The current monument, the only reason no one likes it is because we can't get lighting to it, because of all the location and the permit issues and like the ownership and all that.
Kind of has some character, yeah.
Is there a reason why we have to, I think originally the thought was, let's pick that one up and just move it, but we couldn't do
Can't
it
do,
because
yeah.
of the way it's constructed. And it wouldn't work, they have to just get rid of it. So is there a reason why we really have to get rid of it? Can't we just leave it there? Because you're paying for a new monument anyway.
I mean,
so-
really, until code enforcement tells you you have to take it down.
And no one's gonna do that. I mean, 'cause
Tanya actually recommended leaving it as it is
Yeah.
and just create a new one.
that's what I was thinking too. I don't know why we would need to
But that's
pay to demolish it. It doesn't make
And if
really
it's
sense.
CDD.
So if we're putting a new one in, I guess it would be up to you guys. Do you want it to say K-Bar Ranch? Because there really is no monument that says K-Bar Ranch except the one at the very beginning, which isn't even on CD property.
Yeah, that one says Cross Creek became.
Cross Creek became K-Bar.
The bond proceeds for all of, every bond issue covered the cost of installing monuments for each neighborhood. So that, I mean,
I
it's
see what you're saying.
technically the CDD property.
But remember, we put that climbing after this, never really K-Bar Ranch. You're well into K-Bar Ranch by the time you get to the monument.
Yeah.
So it's not an introduction to K-Bar Ranch.
What if?
His point's a good one because,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry?
ahead. I have an idea.
Oh, your point's a good one because it's not necessarily Basket Creek, it's you're entering K-Bar Ranch
This
and
one-
CDD.
The current one says Bassett Creek at K-Bar Ranch.
Right, but we also have to note the location.
Yeah.
If we take that one down and put it on climbing after, you're way into K-Bar Ranch before you're greeted with K-Bar Ranch, which as you go by the townhomes, it makes you think you're not in K-Bar Ranch, you're some auxiliary settlement, and then you're entering K-Bar Ranch. So where it is now, at least it introduces K-Bar Ranch as a whole group, a community, which is, the townhomes are part of that community as well.
Right, but it still says Bassett Creek right now.
Does the
And I
Stone
think the
Creek
point-
one, does the Stone Creek say at K-Bar Ranch?
No.
No, neither does the Aaron Preserve one, or the Laurel Vista.
Laurel Vista and Preserve, that, those don't say K-Bar Ranch on.
So see, fix my monument and we'll have K-Bar Ranch.
What was your idea? You had an idea?
Yeah, we can leave the monument, but why to pay like 32,000?
I was like,
It's ridiculous.
change theirs to say, the one that's there, say K-Bar Ranch, and give them their new one. But it's still kind of, it's past the townhome, so it doesn't matter.
You're paying $32,000 so that you can light a new monument? Is that what I'm getting correct?
32,000 is the highest bid. There are two bids,
What's
number
the other
one.
bid?
The second bid is $20,900, and again, that also includes, well, they didn't,
The
And have we looked into solar for-
second
the
quote-
se- and the second bid
We
is.
have, we've been looking into this for a year and a
The
half.
second, no, 3 years. This has been
Is
going
it
on.
3 years?
Yes.
Okay.
The second bid is $6,900 to remove the original monument.
I think the reason for that, because I was really looking at these, that's why I contacted Joe and asked for a copy of this, because I'm looking at this going, how on earth are these apples to apples? What are they bidding on? And my
I mean,
guess.
They're both bidding on this.
Yeah,
to build
but my
this.
guess is the removal of the monument at 6,900 on the cheaper one is because they're reducing the bricks.
Maybe.
Versus the other one's just gonna hit it with a bulldozer and take it down.
They should
So-
reduce
The
those
second proposal does not
Very difficult
include
to reduce it
fencing.
sometimes, depending on how it's
Or
built.
lighting, yeah, and that was, so the second one doesn't include lighting either. And I don't know how
Yeah.
much lighting's gonna cost. They had some
Been there
questions about
before,
it.
we know how much it
So
costs.
Tanya is not here tonight, and I just sent this to her this morning to try and see if she could figure, because they had some questions on the lighting. They're like, well, in order to put the lighting, they needed to know specifics on where exactly they were pulling the electric from,
Yeah.
and if they're gonna set up a new service. So I asked Tanya to take a look at that.
The other question I would ask, and it's probably more for Tanya than anyone else, thinking about what you were saying with the fact that you're already in K-Bar before you even get to the monument, what about the columns at the front? Is there a way to utilize that space? Is there power there that we can light it? And that way it's before you ever get to the townhomes. I don't know how much space there actually is, and that'd be more of a timing question, but.
Those columns on the either side.
Yeah, is there something we can do to modify those, or utilize them in some way, and do it before you ever get into the entire complex?
Tanya would have to look at the ownership again. and see
Yeah,
if
I would just say if it's
whatever.
something, especially if you're already having her look at stuff, have her look at that too.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal place to put the ranch.
Yeah, I just don't know how much room there, so maybe we just put a plaque on those and it has some lighting, I don't know, to be honest, I drive past it
That's,
quickly,
that's
so I'm
a,
not
that's a
sure.
valid point,
But-
you know, if you
It
present
would
all
cost
of us.
$32,000,
And
What's
to
that?
and it wouldn't cost $32,000.
It'd be a really nice plaque if it was $32,000.
You could make it almost out of gold
And
with
to
that.
put it, like, that's the K-Bar Ranch Amenity
Yeah.
Center area, so to put Bassett Creek there is kind of misleading.
Well, and if we save money on doing something, modifying what we already have,
Yeah,
maybe we can put a little bit nicer sign at the amenity center, because, I mean, there's a nice sign, but it'd be nice to have something a
I
little
think
more
one thing we have
structural.
to, his point was good, are we introducing the community or are we introducing neighborhoods?
Yes.
Yeah.
right.
That question has to be answered first, which can we, if it's community, maybe HOA needs to take care of it. If it's if it's just a neighborhood rather, but if it's K-Bar Ranch, then that seems to me to be the CDD, in which case location arises. I think the location of the monument introducing K-Bar Ranch should be prior to entering the townhomes also.
Yeah, I agree, yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I think
And
we still
I
have,
think the issue beyond there is the ownership of the land.
yeah.
Which is why we were looking to move it further, to put it somewhere where the CDD actually owns the property. So
Well, and it's
that's-
also in right away as well, the existing ones, so
Yeah,
we haven't gotten caught yet.
right.
I would like to get a little more information, and then maybe it's something we can talk about at the next meeting. That way it's also, Mike's here, and I think he's very passionate about this
Yeah,
project.
I want to make sure Mike is.
And if I'm correct, the new board members will be sitting after
Yes.
resignations. And so that way it's not me who's rolling off in November making
That's
the
true.
decision. It's
Wow.
people who have to live with it for the next 4 years.
Two new residents on the board. That's a good point. Okay, so do you guys want to wait till the next meeting?
Yeah, and
I'll
hopefully
get some
Tanya
information and
can
we'll
get some
Yeah,
info.
hopefully Tanya can answer the question about the electrical that signature privacy laws have.
I'll put together, I have some other questions too. I'll email them to you so you can flip to her.
Okay.
And she's got plenty of work to do before the next meeting.
Yes. Okay, so we will revisit this at the next meeting. Okay, next item behind tab 8. Again, this was just as a result of me listening to the audio from the last meeting, trying to get a feel for what you guys were looking for regarding rules and policies at the amenity center. So I'm not sure if everyone on the board remembered or before you were on the board, or no, you probably did. We brought these rules back. I checked the date. It was January 20th was the last time we revised them. And that revision included rules for the tennis court and the grill area. And everything else stayed the same. So if you guys have questions or comments, issues with anything as far as policies go, we can always change those tonight. Again, does the board want to take any questions from the audience? It's not really a public hearing.
I understand that.
Does the board want to take a question from the audience about the policies? Okay.
What is the policy for the tennis court? Because I've had several complaints from residents in Heron Preserve that there is one individual that lives in Bassett Creek that goes there at 5 o'clock and plays every day until 8 o'clock and doesn't allow anybody to use the tennis court besides him and his family. Is there rules in place that say, hey, you can only play one match, one set, whatever?
I'll find exactly what it says. I mean, we could, the problem is enforcement. I mean, I could put whatever I want in a
Post it
rule.
on there? I mean, if you put a sign on the side of it.
There's nothing in the tennis section that says, you know,
There's
you
no
only get to
time
play for
limit,
half an
yeah.
hour. It's more when it's actually open. I'm just looking to see if there's anything.
I mean, courts may not be rented.
Let's see if there's anything.
Like a simple $20 aluminum sign that's put on the fence that says you can only play for an hour at a time.
Well, that's not in our rules, so we can't post that
Well,
unless we
I
change
know,
the
that's what I'm
rules.
saying.
I mean, if you guys want to add a rule, giving a time limit or something, we can always do that. I mean, that's something we can change tonight if you want to.
One of the reasons that we brought this up is because we really needed some signage for the new facilities that were installed. And I did not recall actually making changes to the guidelines and, or to the rules, so that was kind of weird this got brought up.
Could we not get a sign that just says as a courtesy? Just play one game and let others play?
I mean, if we're gonna do a sign, we can put a sign up that has, there's 8 rules specific to the basketball and tennis court. We can put up a sign that has all the rules on it, that way there's no
But
question.
that doesn't,
Okay.
that
We
doesn't.
need to change the
Yeah, we need
rule
to update.
tonight to update it if you want to.
And how do you enforce it?
What's up?
How do you enforce it?
That's the problem.
That's- Yeah.
I mean, it would be up to the individuals to read the, I mean, there's no staff
you
who
do.
works out there, yeah, so. Enforcement's always an issue when you don't have on-site staff.
But if there's a set of rules that's listed, it's pretty easy to say.
It's easier, yeah.
Sorry,
you
you can
go
read
to
the
the
sign.
rule. If the person wants to be a jerk, they can be a jerk, but it,
Right.
you know, from there, but yeah, I agree, as long as there's a sign posted with rules, it's easier to get someone's attention to follow up.
And if you have somebody violating the rules, then at some point, the district manager will send them a letter, or, there could be some notice given and have to change the
Set a violation.
Yeah, exactly. And the rules do state that if there's proof of someone breaking the rules, I can send a letter. If it gets to the point where it's consistent, we can revoke their access. That's within the rules as well. So, what do you guys think? Do you want to add, change, make any amendments? I mean, the only thing we can't change as far as rules tonight is anything regarding rates. So like rental fees and things like that, we need to hold a public hearing if you want to go that far. I know right now there's no real rental policy. All the amenities first come, first served. Again, mainly due to no on-site staff, and that there's no real way to police things like rentals.
Right.
Is the tennis court ever gonna have the card access like the amenity center has in the pool?
Did we look into that when we built it? I think it was really expensive, wasn't it?
Well, we weren't sure how much money we were
Was
really
left
gonna
over.
have. We
Okay.
had to kind of, because there was a lot of permitting issues and stuff like that. So, I think we have.
Are you sure that that's a free person, not
Yes.
just somebody?
I know exactly where they live.
Probably are gonna have about
I don't play tennis, so.
16,000.
I,
And I think
to be honest, I don't
it's
either,
going to be,
but it's been informed, I'm the president of Karen Preserve, and I've been informed several times by several different people that are like, we pay for this, and they just, the worst part is, they just moved in about 2 months ago, I'm trying to explain that. Yeah, if they're there first, what are you gonna do? And I, well, we moved in because that way we didn't have to drive down
all
to
right, we
Temple.
cool down the conversation right here. So card reader, we can look at how much it would cost to get a card reader, if there's money left over.
It can come from the recreation budget.
Yeah.
I mean, there's bits and pieces there that we're now trying to spend all of that little bit of money, so.
No, I was just curious, I didn't know.
No,
Yeah, that
I
was a way
mean-
to keep other people out,
Yeah,
That's when
and the
you don't
second
get ones
part
that's
of that
free.
is if we don't have the card reader, you couldn't lock somebody out from using it if they were violating their privileges,
Oh, yeah.
so.
But to his point, if he's a
Yeah.
resident, he's got a card, so a card is not gonna do anything for us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But we should get the price for.
but right now, there's
right, like Betty
nothing
said, like,
keeping anybody out.
yeah, the card reader would, if there was an issue consistent with the same person and we shut their access off,
Right.
then at least it would keep them out.
We could enforce that.
Yeah, that could.
So going back to the rules then,
Yeah.
if we want to put something in place, does anybody have any language? Like I know there's something at my gym, like if somebody's waiting, you can only use the treadmill for X number of minutes or whatever.
You do have with the turnover of the board at the next meeting, unless there's an urgent problem, this may be something you want to turn over to the resident board to make that call, rather than maybe having to go through this twice.
I don't have a problem with that. It'd also give us time to maybe research some other rules, see if any of your districts have something in place that already has wording that we're not trying to make up on the fly.
One like Brad definitely has something regarding.
Is there a rule about pets on the tennis court?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, there
yes.
is. All
That's
other
true,
uses
like-
including, but not, the facility, meaning the basketball court and tennis court, is for the play of basketball and or tennis only. All other uses including, but not limited to, the allowance of pets, rollerblades, bikes, skates, skateboards, hoverboards, and scooters are strictly prohibited at this facility. So, no pets.
Do we have a problem with pets on it?
Yes.
You also have a problem with skateboards on the basketball court.
Yeah, and that's been in the rules forever. no skateboards on the basketball court. That was been
Because there's a gouge out of the one side because somebody was grinding it.
We do have a problem with pets on the tennis court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you throw the
It's like
ball.
their own little dog park.
Oh,
It's
I
fenced
never
in.
thought about
It's
that,
fenced
yeah.
in.
Really high fence too. Well,
Okay.
maybe you can research that, and then it can be approved at the next meeting, and then we can go forward with signage too, 'cause,
Yeah, I want to put signs up until we
yeah.
solidify all this. So do you guys want to wait until the next meeting to make any changes to the policies?
I think so, and every board member then can read it before the next meeting and propose changes to you that, you know,
Okay.
if there's anything else, and if residents know of any other changes that are needed, they can contact Joe in advance.
I can work them in, or at least put it in draft.
Yeah,
What I can do is I can bring the current rules and then sort of like a draft version with changes, potential changes, and then we can discuss it next
Yeah.
meeting. Get those approved, and then once that's approved, we can then put some signage up. And the signage, that can come out of that won't cost much, that can come out of the amended fund too.
Everything's coming out of the.
We gotta use up every penny of that. There's gonna be nothing left over.
Very nice to see what other communities do.
As far as like, things like that.
Every time, what's a reasonable thing to put in place?
yeah.
You
You
don't
said
send
Long
them
Lake
walk out and
has
say,
good
"Hey, you
rules.
have to go now."
Long
Maybe
Lake
just
does.
send it to John.
That's
Yeah.
I can check with Brian on there and see what they're doing. That's a
That's a
really
high use.
high use, yeah, very high use. They gotta have something in place, I can double check that. Okay, so we will bring this back on the next agenda. Next item behind tab 9. So I know we haven't really discussed yet and again, this was another thing that came up when I wasn't here. I'm trying to think, Betty, this is what you sent to Tanya. So regarding the potential dumpster at the amenity center, which I definitely think is needed, especially as we get more and more use of that amenity, there's got to be a better way to remove the trash from there. So what you see in your agenda behind tab 9 is the proposal from Republic Services just for the trash pickup. I wanted to get this just so we had a price for what it would cost to do the trash removal, but the first thing we need to do is find out where to put a dumpster out there. So board members, Tanya sent over an example or kind of an idea of where to put it, and Betty had a slightly different idea. So you can see here, Tanya was looking to put one maybe kind of right by the entrance.
Is Tanya the circled one and Betty's the
Yes.
crosshatch?
Yes, Tanya's the
Okay.
circled one, and
Yes.
Betty's the crosshatch. So that circled one is kind of right by where the first walkway is, where the little picnic shelters and grills are. And then Betty's idea was to move it sort of,
Closer to Wild Tamarind.
Yeah, closer
My
to the
thoughts
road.
were that the truck has to come in and turn around, and that's why I have my little arrow showing you how it would work. They would actually be coming straight into it to pick up the dumpster. Either way, they have to back up to get out
I
that
think
driveway.
what Tanya was looking at when she put it there, she thought the truck could just come straight in
And back straight out.
and back straight out.
Well, and that would be my question, is the radius large enough for this truck? It's not a very big radius. That'd be a question that Tanya would have to answer.
We might need to have Republic tell us the best location.
Well, that would be, I would rather go with what Republic says is the best for them, instead of assuming.
It may not matter, Republic doesn't show up a lot.
And that was what the first reason I asked Tanya was because I don't want to have, build a concrete pad and a fence and put a dumpster there if it's going to cause a drainage issue down the road. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure Tanya was aware
Should
of.
put the field drain on that, because there's a field drain right there.
There's a square, maybe that's the field drain.
So Tanya was thinking putting it here and Betty said maybe here. So that's the walkway where the drainage will be. So this is in front of that.
So that's probably.
So I'm trusting that Tanya thought about these kind of things. So she wouldn't give us an idea for where we're going. Okay, does anyone else on the board have any strong opinions either way? Would you want me to contact Republic and have them actually go out and look at it?
Yes.
and tell us where it needs to go?
Do we have to use Republic if they're not doing a great job within the community? Would we be better off going with a different?
They didn't show up on Monday for recycling for half of the neighborhood and trash for the other half. So they had to come back on Tuesday.
I mean, the only reason I'm gonna run for the public is because it's the same company, right?
Right.
That, I mean, the CDD is separate, so we don't have to use Republic. I can try Progressive or.
I'd get a couple of
or
quotes, I mean,
someone else.
it's not a ton of money, but it's $1,000 a year, I mean.
Your competitive quote would be good, not just money, but services offered.
And they speed through the neighborhood, they knock down tree branches,
Jerry,
drop
I'd
them
like
on
the
Google
current
Behind
public
it.
contract and see if there's any exclusivity provisions in it.
Oh, yeah. Think about that.
What's the current Republic contract for?
For the community.
Oh, it's with the city.
It's with the city.
Oh, it's
The
with the
city of
city?
Tampa,
Yeah, but the CDD is separate, right? So wouldn't that be its
So
own?
the city, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Well, it wouldn't make any difference then. We could enter into a separate contract. So,
Okay. Well, I'll see what else is, I know Progressive can probably get on it, maybe there's something. So I can get some more quotes to bring back to the next meeting. And I guess, do you still want me to have a public look at it anyway?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure whatever location they say, the other company would probably.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all the same size trucks.
Similar size trucks, okay.
My only concern was I didn't want it on asphalt. I wanted to make sure we had our concrete pad and far enough back so that we weren't damaging the parking lot.
Yeah, and also not taking up parking spaces.
Right.
was-
It may end up, we may have to take a parking space there because of the drainage issues and, I know, that's the other thing, is we gotta see how many parking spaces we're required to have, especially with the increase in amenities.
Yeah.
They didn't change it when they added.
Because you didn't really
You
add,
didn't really add like,
building space.
yeah, there's just like tennis courts and places. Okay, I will bring that back to the next meeting. Next item behind tab 10, this is again something that came up at the last meeting. Van's not here. Okay. So at the last meeting, I listened to the audio, and Mike mentioned that he had spoken to Van, and Van told him that the HOA is not interested in managing the access cards for free anymore. So what you see in your agenda behind tab 10 is the original agreement from 2013 that renews automatically each year, which basically states that the HOA is in charge of they are solely for the value of entering resident information into the pool gate entry system and key distribution, and that's really it. So that's the maintenance of the system and everything like that is still the CDD's responsibility, but I think the HOA is starting to get overwhelmed with new cards and dealing with those kinds of issues. And I spoke with Van a few weeks ago. I was waiting for him to follow up with me on, he was going to talk to Brad to find out what they would agree, what, some they would agree to get paid for to continue to do this. But they haven't gotten back to me
I spoke with Brad.
yet. Oh, you did?
I was speaking with him regarding something else, and when I talked with him about it, one of the big concerns is they're the ones who get the complaints. If the system's not working, the gate needs repairs or whatever, they're the ones who get the complaints, but they do not have the authority to actually take an action, so they have to report it. Well, that part's okay, except they continue to get complaints if the board doesn't act quickly enough. So it may make better sense to actually have an agreement with them where they just actually take charge of the whole system, calling for repairs and so
They
forth
willing to
too.
do that?
For a price, I'm sure.
Well, for a price, but I mean, I
Right.
wasn't sure if they were willing to do it at all.
My impression from Brad is that they would put a price on it. But they wouldn't do it for free anymore, but they would put a price on it. But they are having, that's one of the issues that they're having.
And there had been a lot of issues with the system itself recently, which is kind of what spurred all this. And, I know the CDD has spent a lot of time, Shannon in particular, driving out day after day to meet with the vendor to make sure they can get in and access the system to fix it. I don't know how many hours you spent doing that. And it just happened, it just went down again. American Access Controls went out today to fix it again. And sometimes it's just something as simple as like resetting the converter box or whatever is in there to get the system working again, but again, we need them as the vendor to go out and do that, we can't really.
Yeah. Well, if it's something that Meg or Brad can get pricing, then it's something the board can consider
Yeah.
next month and,
I
or
was
November.
hoping
and
Ben
get
would
it
be here
done.
to talk about it today, but.
My number two, why does it fail so often?
I think one of the things that happens, because I'm having issues at other places too, we've had a lot of thunderstorms, and they've been really bad thunderstorms this year. And I think sometimes it just causes it to flip off, and you've got to reset everything. Not necessarily that it had a direct strike, but just enough to interrupt services.
Those boxes aren't on UPS? Uninterrupted power supply?
They are.
Do they time out? If somebody opens the gate and then tapes a piece of cardboard so that other people can come in and out, does it time out if it doesn't close back?
I don't know enough about
Because
that.
we've noticed some people do that and we pull the tape and stuff off, but
And that gate takes a lot of physical use.
yes.
I gotta have American Access Controls fix that gate a number of times, because it would stop latching, and people would probably jumping on it or hanging on it or whatever.
Well, and it may also be helpful to speak with American Access. Are there things that we can do to make the gate better? I have no idea, I don't really know anything about those, but is there a different system? Is there a stronger gate?
Do we
Heavier
assume we
gate?
pay for service calls and they have to come out to do that?
Put a
Long term,
put a
maybe
camera
We
up.
should have another gate. a different
Put a
kind of
camera
gate.
up and start noticing who's coming in and out and who's doing it. I mean, who's taping it to keep it open, who's hanging on it, who's.
Or one that's more resistant to lightning and things like that, not a strike, but a service, whatever's causing it. It seems to me we're gonna be spending a lot of money repetitively on service calls.
Mhm.
Is there something we can have a better gate that's more resistant?
Well, actually, we can do a service contract with them, which would get us better prices.
Mhm.
So that probably would be the way to go, is to, because the first year with the system is under warranty, but after the second or third year, you really want that maintenance contract so that they are.
I wouldn't mind comparing the cost of a maintenance contract versus the sum of the service calls we pay for.
It's probably a wash, or
Yeah, because
better to
you-
go with the contract.
You know, you get the trip charge in addition to what the
Yes.
cost is, so yeah.
I also want to price out the upgrade of the system. Better gate.
Yeah, that'd be another option too. Is there a better gate that obviates both?
That is made out of aluminum.
Or even a swipe card instead of just a stick it on card.
Yeah, but that would involve replacing everybody's cards.
That's true.
Dan was
That's just
happy.
what Dan doesn't want to do. I had to pass out keys to everybody in the neighborhood, it's like.
Okay, I will look at getting pricing on service contracts. Okay. Let's move on. Next item behind tab 11. Request from a resident running for office at the incoming November election. The request is basically just to put temporary signage up on CDD common area. And you can see kind of an example of what the sign would look like. I know I ran this past Tracy. I ran it past Mike as well. I know Mike was in favor of it, but he was not here tonight. So Tracy said that the main issue is that you allow one sign up, you open yourself up.
Yeah,
to-
you've opened the door to anybody putting signs up for any purpose, because you gotta give everybody an equal opportunity, particularly in an election setting. If you're gonna allow one person to do it, you've got others. And then if you do that, you're gonna have other people who wanna put signs up for other reasons.
Can the board allow it for just say from now until the election day or something, and then, I don't know.
Put any and all election signs up?
I mean,
Well,
that's,
like you said,
yeah,
you
if
have
it's,
to approve
if
all
it's
of
for
them.
one, it's for everything.
Yeah, it really is. You shouldn't be endorsing a candidate by allowing one sign, and in terms of, fairness, others will want to use it as well. And it is, I mean, it's on district-owned property, it's governmentally owned property, so if the city of Tampa did that, they'd have to allow other people to put signs up on their property, public property, and the district has the same issue.
Can we restrict it simply to political signs, so it's not every yard service and open yourself up to all sorts of snipe signs? Is there a way to do that? I was curious what your
Yeah,
opinion
I
was
think,
on
I
this.
think you could do that, but you're gonna get a flock of political signs piled right on top of each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
If this
Like-
election's like any other one I've seen.
Are signs allowed on weekends only? I'm curious, because I've seen, you know, some signs up and code enforcement comes around and takes them down on Mondays.
Well, the reason for that is that code enforcement's not open on the weekends, not because they're allowed on the weekends.
And there are snipe sign companies that put them out at 8 o'clock Friday night and then come through
Yeah.
Monday morning.
I didn't know.
What
Yeah,
happens
that's
if
how
it's
that-
approved
it's a
by the
business.
board and it's only for 1 month? From
Well, you
August
still
8th
get
to
the city's-
November?
You still have the city's sign code to cope with. This board does not have zoning and regulatory authority. So any signs that go there have to be in compliance with the city's zoning code, even if you say you will allow them.
So basically, the city trumps whatever we decide on, over the city rules.
Well, if your decision is contrary to city's code, to the city code, it's going to trump it.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
I mean, if the board allows signage, it's not like they're putting an advertisement out there to anyone saying, hey, come put your sign. Like, is the issue just that if people see signs there, they'll just add to it?
Probably, they'll figure it's an allowed place to do it.
That's
I
why
think
you
that's
always
a-
see them clustered together.
Yeah, you're right. That makes a good
Areas.
point.
I mean, it's, to me, it's freedom of speech. I don't have a problem with it. I just want to make sure that there's rules and regs so that it's fair to everyone.
Honestly, I'm not familiar with what the city sign code
Yeah.
requires for political signs.
I have a question regarding the HOA documents for the various communities. I can tell you at Laurel Vista, we allow homeowners to have political signs for 1 week prior to the election until the day after it has to be removed. So you've got like an 8-day window that you could have a political sign in your yard.
Just in your yard?
Right, and that's the way, that's what we allow in Laurel Vista, otherwise no other signs are allowed. So what is the guidelines in Bassett Creek and the townhomes? I'm just
There is
thinking,
0 signs.
I don't know.
I was just
I
thinking
didn't
that
bring my
possibly
local
he could
zoning.
have friends place signs in their yards. That was what my thoughts were.
Or if we promise to go and clean them up, can we just put them up for a month? We'll clean them up ourselves.
I don't think it's the cleanup that's the issue. It's making sure it's fair and equitable for everybody and that it's a set time frame. I do like that there's a set time frame in here because that's very helpful. I think there was sizing too, so it's not going to be a big 6 foot by 8 foot sign with 6 foot posts or 6 inch posts.
But again, if someone did put a big sign out there, you couldn't really stop it.
Unless it breaks the Tampa one.
Right.
The sign
Right.
code.
Yeah.
But we're right, so we circle right back to this, if this breaks the Tampa law,
Right.
and we don't know that.
And any authorization, if the board's going to entertain that, should be subject to the provisions of the city's sign code. I wonder if it isn't something that the board should consider for the future after doing some more investigation into the sign code and creating some limitations on sizes and numbers of signs, you know, like one candidate can't go out there and put up 10 signs. And some guidelines of that sort, maybe time frames from this point to that point, assuming, again, it's not inconsistent with the city's code. But that's your call.
Well, I think that's the critical thing there is we have to apply to the city of Tampa, whatever there is, I don't know what it is.
Anything you do is subject to the city's sign code, just to be clear.
So we don't know what we do or don't approve is gonna conflict with what the city code says.
Now, how did they put signs, like right in front of right here, they had about 30 signs when
It's Hillsborough County.
just recently? That was for
Election day.
Here? Because it's Hillsborough County property and they allow it at all their public areas.
Yeah, on election day, there's quite a few of them up there.
Oh, yeah, about 30 of them at least.
I believe.
Well, the issue here is to go back and do any research now, we're missing the
Yes.
window, so it's either,
So My question is this, or my comment rather, for the cost of several of these signs, and I don't think it said how many signs, but based on the cost of the signs, wouldn't it be just as inexpensive to do a mailing to the zip code? I mean, just to
Yeah.
the community might actually be a more effective.
And one thing we want to keep ourselves away from is any, going forward, any selective enforcement issues that may arise. Once we allow one, they don't want yours.
To be honest, I didn't plan on getting it.
Okay, so what do you guys think? Do you want to, I mean, since we don't really, you said you just looked it up and you.
Yeah, it said, you know, obviously right away is prohibited, you can't attach it to a telephone pole or even a wall or anything like that, even on private property. And then it just said that there was a 5-day notice period if it was within an 8 square feet. That's really all it said. So I'm sure there's more detail, but
I got the
reading
whole
on my
sign
phone.
code I'm reading right now, and it's huge and long.
Well, I just did
And
City
it's
of Tampa
complicated.
political sign code.
Yeah, I'm doing the whole municipal
Yeah.
sign code. and
It's not easy reading because they have different sections that affect other sections.
Well,
Yeah.
I've read a lot of laws. Who needs a 500 square foot political advertising sign?
So what do you guys think? You want to,
Such sign cannot exceed 6 feet in height.
what do you guys want to know?
I mean, I just, because it's public, like you said, it's government property, I'm not comfortable without having more information on the City of Tampa
If
code
there's
doing
no motion
anything.
for it and no second, it dies.
I mean, what happens on private property isn't the CDD's business, so.
Okay. Okay, if the board doesn't want to take a motion, then we'll go ahead and move on. And Ben, you made a good suggestion about potentially doing a mailing instead of posting signage. That's an option. Okay, very good. Let's move on. Next item behind tab 12 is just an engagement letter from Brown Associates for the audit for the next fiscal year. We did an RFP last year, so this is just year 2 of your current contract, which calls for 2 annual renewals. Just hold on. Price, check if the price matches the budget. I'll read off for the record, $3,400 for the audit for fiscal year ending September 30th, 2016. Motion by Ben. Second by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. And then finally, behind tab 13, is a proposal from Aegis for your updated insurance. Current insurance policy expires on September 30th, so we just need a new policy to get put in place to start on October 1st. This is the same coverage that you had last year, $2,500 deductible, 3% for named windstorm damage. And I've already added, this includes all the new property that was added in the middle of the year. So if you want to go back and look at the property schedule, should be right at the end of the agenda here. That includes all the new tennis court and fencing and shade structures and the fountain and all that kind of stuff. Is all included, but we still came in under budget. Just for the record, I'll read off the numbers real quick. This comprehensive policy includes public officials liability insurance, the general liability, and the property coverage. Our budget for public officials liability was $2,475. It came in at $2,250. It's the same exact thing for the general liability, also budgeted $2,475. This came in at $2,250. And the property was under budget as well. Budgeted amount was $3,529. And the coverage proposal came in at $3,071. So overall budget $8,479, and this proposal $7,571.
On page 4, it talks about crime coverage. I thought after the break-in, we had added theft coverage to our insurance last year or the year before that.
Which page are you looking at?
Page 4, it's kind of in the middle.
I can probably get that added. I think we added, we added that that was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, after the break-in.
And it was a different insurance company
Oh, okay.
back then. But I can talk to you just about adding crime. I don't think, it may not even affect the premium.
That's what I was gonna say, I can't imagine.
Because
the
we added
premiums
it at
much.
that time, it didn't affect the premium at all.
Yeah,
So I
I'd
can-
rather have it than not.
Yeah.
I mean, knock on wood, nothing's happened since then, but they stole a lot of stuff that one time, so.
Yeah, I can ask them about that. Then even if it is a little bit of a cost, it should still be.
In budget.
Yeah. Okay, so if the board's okay, then I guess we just need a motion to approve the proposal changes.
So moved.
Motion by Chloe,
Second.
second by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Moving on to staff reports. Mr. Council, Tracy, anything you can think of?
Yeah, at the meeting, the last meeting, a question came up about the sunshine law and individuals who qualified for office, running for office. I can't remember who that was, that is qualified for office, but is running unopposed.
Vicky.
Vicky,
Okay. And the answer to that question, as we looked into it, is that the sunshine law does apply.
Oh, because she doesn't have a.
Because there's no opposition, and she's guaranteed to have that seat on election day. And what that means, it's important to both sitting supervisors and to her. And Joe, I don't know whether you conveyed this to her or not.
I did, I spoke with her.
Okay.
Yeah, she said.
But I wanted to make sure everybody understood it. And for the benefit of the audience, if you serve on this board, you're a public officer of the state of Florida because the district is a unit of local government. So in Florida, in order to ensure that decisions are not made by public officials in smoke-filled rooms outside the knowledge of the constituency, there's a law that we lovingly call the Sunshine Law, which means that all decisions have to be made in a public forum. And as a result of that, it means that these board members who sit on this board cannot talk to each other outside of a publicly noticed meeting about district business. So they can't kind of collude or come to some agreements outside of a public meeting that none of us would know about or about how they came to those conclusions. All of the considerations for decisions that affect the business of the district have to be originated and discussed and decided in public meetings. So in this particular case, what that means is for all of you and for her that between now and the time she's seated, she's under the same rules and guidelines that she'll be under as a sitting board member, and the same thing for you. You can't have discussions with her. No one sitting supervisor can have a discussion with her nor her with you about any district business that's going to come before this board for a decision, except in a public meeting.
Like, we couldn't get together and go over the amenity rules and come up with what we would want it to be and then bring it to the board. It has to be
And
independent.
so I want
Yep.
to make sure that you understand the rules too, so that you don't inadvertently fall into a conversation like that, not realizing that it affects someone who has qualified for office without opposition, but who's not yet been sworn in.
Makes sense.
I have a point of clarification, not for the, you two are stepping down, correct, or your term is expiring.
My term is up, yes.
And you're still on until 2018?
No, her term expires as well.
Okay, and then Brady's stepping down?
Brady's technically goes till 2018, but he's planning on resigning.
Okay. Because the question that I have is, if there's only 3 people running, and there's 3 people that are removing themselves or being term expired from the board, is there a point to have the election? I mean,
Yes.
It's required
it's
by law.
required by law saying that you're going to have it.
So the answer to the
But
question
is-
is it's required by law.
Yeah.
Because the seat that Brady's in is still technically a landowner's seat.
Right. But the board will then appoint whoever they
Right.
choose to afterwards.
Yes, correct.
Is that being appointed at the November one when?
It's up to the board, they don't have to appoint anyone immediately.
They need to fill the seat within 90 days.
Anything else, Tracy?
That's all.
Okay. Tanya's not here. Do anyone have any questions for Tanya? Or no, I'm gonna ask her about the electrical questions on the monument.
I had a question regarding, last meeting we discussed some surveying she did,
Yes.
about $8,000, and we're gonna see if Lennar wanted to split it. Do we have any movement on that?
Yeah, we're gonna split it. And Tanya's just confirming that with Lenore. I spoke with her this morning before the meeting, and she's gonna send the CDD a bill for 50%. And she'll work out with her if she needs to with Lenore. Is that your question too?
No.
Okay. District manager, the next board of supervisors regular meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 16th, 2016 at 6 p.m. And Tracy, just to confirm, that meeting on the 16th, that's more than 2 weeks after the election. So we'll be able to swear in the new residents as a result of the election.
It's 2 weeks following the election, the election's on the
On the,
8th.
I think it's on the first.
November 8th?
Yeah, no.
It's always the first Tuesday after the first, or first Tuesday after the first Tuesday of the month.
Yeah,
So
it's-
the
First
day-
Tuesday
That's
after the
not
first Monday.
confusing.
It's the first Tuesday after the first Monday.
is the 8th,
Oh.
which means that
And
the
because the
new
first is a
board will
Tuesday.
not be seated at that
Okay.
meeting.
So in the November meeting, we won't have the new board members on yet. It's not 2 weeks after the election.
They'll take office on the 8 plus 24, the 26th. Am I doing my math right?
8 plus
November
It'll be the 22nd.
22nd.
22nd, I'm sorry. That's why I'm a lawyer, not.
Not an accountant.
Change the next meeting for that reason, because otherwise it would be January before there's going on.
Well, that's,
Well, the next Wednesday is the day before Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Wednesday the 23rd would be, yeah, because Thanksgiving's on the 24th.
Does it have to be a Wednesday?
Could be any day. It doesn't have to be-
Can it be the Wednesday after Thanksgiving?
Sure. It can be anytime the board decides.
So that would be the last day.
30th.
of
What about
November.
the 22nd?
Well, then I can't win. That's why I have to take vacation.
Do you guys want to do it on November 30th?
Works for my calendar.
I'm not on the board, but it works for me.
It's a better date, right after Thanksgiving.
We'll roll everybody in here.
What?
We'll roll everybody in here.
Yes, because we're all going to stop.
Yeah, either Tuesday or Wednesday that week works for me.
Yeah, I think
29th or 30th.
We're talking
Do we
about
have to
the 30th?
renotice it?
You have to have that for it, yeah.
Okay.
Right. That's fine with me.
Okay.
So-
You guys want to take a motion to set the meeting date as November 30th?
So moved.
Motion by Chloe. Second by John, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So November 30th at 6?
Yeah.
November 30th, 6 p.m., same location.
Then we just need to make sure that they are available there.
Yeah, that should be fine. They typically don't even let you make reservations more than 60 days out anyway, sometimes.
Gotcha.
So, we're good there. The other thing I'll mention, she wasn't able to make it financially a conflict, but at Presenter, we're switching up some of our coverage as far as management is concerned, and so I'm actually coming off K-Bar Ranch in the coming months. Angel Montagna is the district manager. She works in the same office as I do. She's going to be slowly transitioning in as district manager. So she'll be here at that meeting in November.
She said it was there, we switched their meeting for that day, because they
Yeah,
already,
yeah, yeah.
they planned for the same thing. When they were doing their schedule, they're like.
You're stuck with us one more meeting
This is
now.
gonna be, well, I was gonna be here probably at least till January anyway, but I wanted to have a nice slow transition, so I'm just throwing her in there. Okay, well, she will be here in January then, I guess, and so I'll still be here in January as well, probably too. We'll probably we'll have her come and watch, and then maybe run the next meeting after that, and I'll still be here, and then the meeting after that, I'll transition out. But I wanted to make sure the board was aware of that. So are there any supervisor requests?
Okay, so looking at the minutes, and I know you weren't at the last meeting, we brought up the fact that Horner Environmental had charged, we paid them like 3 years worth of invoices.
Yeah.
What was up with that?
They didn't bill us. It started because I reached out to them and asked questions about upcoming year's budget, because I needed to know. Their original contract was like a 5-year contract for a set amount, and I didn't know, it doesn't specify how much is spent each year. And so I reached out to them and asked them how much of that budget is gonna come out of the next year's budget, so I knew what to put in the budget. And as was talking to them and looking back at all of our financials, I said, have you guys been sending us invoices for all the work you've been doing? And they were like, oh, let me check on that. And then, of course, they hadn't, so we could go back and pay all the service visits that they just hadn't been billing for.
Is there a problem with the fact that the books were closed on the last 2 years and we're paying? I mean, it didn't
So
put us over budget or
No,
anything?
it wasn't enough of an expense.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it was
Make that
like $9,000.
Overall, yeah, we spread it out,
Okay,
but that's what happened, so they should be back on track.
okay.
One of the concerns I have about Horner Environmental is that they do not give us a copy of the reports. And I noticed it in other communities, I wasn't getting the reports. I think we need to specify, when we pay for that report, we know that they're sending them to Swift Mud and Army Corps, but we need a copy in our files too.
If we're paying for it, we should be getting it.
Especially if we're going to have to do any remedial work as part of their report, we should know what it is.
Yeah.
I'll go back and ask them.
Other questions I had, there was $18,000 that, it says here that came out of the amenity account, but I think it came out of the regular account. It was supposed to come out of the amenity account.
What did you know?
It's a fifth order of business in the minutes. If you go back.
Fifth order.
Yeah, if you look at, and I don't have last month's book with me, but there was something in, I can't remember if it was, I think it was not in the amenity center budget, that it should have come out of the amenity center budget. You can just double check and see if it just needs to be recoded. It was coded to the wrong one, I just don't remember which one was the one it was coded to.
Okay. Well, let's hope it wasn't that way, because if there was one that should have been coded and wasn't, that's gonna eat up the rest of the funds.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure they were all coded. Maybe it showed up, because you know how there's the O&M, like the tab with the O&M stuff, and then the tab with the amenity stuff. It may have gotten put in the wrong file,
Yeah.
but the coding, it should all be correct.
Coming out of the right account.
So I know it was coded correct on the invoice, because I always double check those.
Oh, it was SEG, that's
When
right.
I
So it was
sign off on them.
SEG and it came out of, so it came out of the amenity, okay.
Yeah, it
I
probably
think
just
the
showed up in
question-
the wrong spot
Yeah.
in the O&M
In the
packet.
register, yeah,
But
okay.
the coding should have been correct.
That was the concern.
Sorry.
And then we talked about that one. That was it. Everything else was covered. That's all I had.
Any other board members have supervisory questions, comments? If there's no other comments, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by John, second by Betty, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carries, meeting adjourned 7:29 PM.
Hopefully it stopped raining.
How long before somebody look into this?
I know, unbelievable.
The school thing?
The fencing or whatever for where the kids are, how
I
long?
think Joe was saying he was gonna call the police tomorrow, but Tyree's gotta get